Every year, around the same time, I traditionally expose myself to the highlights of the Academy Awards, just to get inspired by what's on top of the industry. But there's this one category that always reminds me of something that bothers me.
Here are the nominees for Achievement in Cinematography.
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 Cinematography is the art and craft of making motion pictures by capturing a story visually. It will make the story come to life and trigger emotions through the right choice of images. This is the part of filmmaking I've never had the courage to even attempt. You see, I always thought of this as an art form which only the traditional filmmakers have access to. I'm talking about people who do this for a living, people who went to film school, like a Quentin Tarantino.
Bruh.
Anyway, in my circle I've always been known as the guy with the camera in his hands and captured everything my homies and I experienced. Through all those years I owned multiple cameras and carried them with me all the time. But basically I've never really knew anything about how to use them in a proper way, with one exception. And that is how to use the record button. At a certain point I always wanted to change that, and I believe now is the time. But why should this matter to me? To be completely honest with you, there's just something inside of me lately that wants to make the best videos possible. I believe it's because through film I can share my ideas and perspectives the best. At least it feels good. The notion to pick up that camera more often came to me since I've never been a great communicator.
You talking to me?
Oh yeah!
It's not necessarily the story that matters. It's how the story is being told. To excel as a storyteller, you need to make ordinary topics as engaging and compelling as possible. What can I do to make you care? So, I did some investigation.
Das ist nicht so leicht, die Materie.
What I came up with were essentially 5 areas that I need to focus on precisely when filming in the future. And depending on the level of execution, this should elevate my videos from simple home-style videos to Hollywood director-type films. Okay, maybe not exactly that, but you get where I'm coming from. Alright, in the next 2 minutes I will use references of the movie Ocean's 11, since it's a good example to showcase those areas, and because the Ocean's trilogy is my all-time favorite movie franchise. First off, let's look at some framing guidelines. The rule of thirds is a composition guideline that divides a frame into 9 parts. According to the rule, you should place the subject on these lines or at their intersections to create visual interest. Leading lines are lines within the frame that guide the viewer's eye to the primary object. By including these lines, you can add deepness and subconsciously draw attention to your subject. Frame within a frame. This is all about positioning your main subject so it's framed by something else within the scene, which is also great to add depth and context to your image. Second is how to create depth. If you add things in front and behind the subject, you will give your composition a feeling of depth. So more layers leads to a stronger feeling of depth, which serves for a more dynamic shot. By overlapping objects, you help the viewer to reconstruct the 3-dimensional scene in their mind, and the overall image comes out more interesting and dynamic. Next up is shot size and angles. This is how the subject is displayed within a given frame of a video. Different types of shots and angles in film communicate different narrative values and are combined during post-production to tell a cohesive story. Number 4 is play with light. Lighting adds depth, a sense of emotion, and it makes up for a more interesting shot. And last but not least is sound design. By using sound effects and music, everything comes more to life and looks automatically better just because it sounds better.
Wow.
While there's definitely more to explore, I think this provides a good foundation for me to start. Just like anything else, mastering this requires a lot of dedication and practice. So, I guess, we're talking about practice. Not a game. Practice.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.